Yo, what's good guys? In this video, we're going to be breaking down how to create this puddle effect, and I think it's a perfect effect to use, especially if you're going for more of that trippy vibe for your edits. And before we get into the video, I want to let you guys know that I run the motion visual shop where I sell editing packs and presets for video editors. So if you guys are interested in that, I'll have a link down in the description. I'm currently running a 2-in-1 bundle, so if you guys want to make that investment, I'll also have the link to that down in the description. With all that being said, let's get right into the video. Alright, so here in After Effects, we're going to be creating that puddle effect between these two clips. And in order to create this effect, let's focus on the second clip that we're going to be transitioning into. So let's create a new adjustment layer. Make sure it's the same length as your clip. In order to create the base of this effect, we're going to add a turbulent displace. Right when we add this effect, we have this really distorted look. If you go over to the displacement, you can change the settings to whichever one that you like. All of them have pretty different looks. I think I'll just stick with the turbulent one. And then if you go over here to the amount, I'll just keep that one as it is. I'm going to keyframe that at the start. Also keyframe the evolution because I want this effect animate on our clip. For the size, I'll decrease that to like 75. And then click this layer, click U to reveal the keyframes. I want this to feel really smooth, so we're going to go forward 18 frames. Keyframe the amount back to 0. And for the evolution, we want that to go 1 full cycle, so I'll keyframe that at 1. So when I play this, we have that liquid effect. After that effect, we're going to add a camera lens blur. Increase the blur radius. I'll increase that to 10. Keyframe that at the start. And for this one, I want it to end faster than the turbulent displace effect. So I'll go forward like 12 frames, keyframe the blur radius back to 0. So we want the beginning of this effect to start out blurry, and then we want to go fully in focus. Then we're going to add a tint, and I also want the beginning of this clip to be black and white. So for the tint, just keep the colors as it is, and then keyframe the amount of tint at 100% at the start. Then go forward to where the camera lens blur ends and just keyframe that back to 0. For the next effect, let's add a VR chromatic aberrations, which is already a built-in effect in After Effects. Once we add this effect, we have this RGB effect. And for some reason, if yours doesn't work, you want to go to the file and then go to project settings. Make sure you go to the video rendering and effects and you select the Mercury GPU acceleration OpenCL, because sometimes yours might be selected at like a different setting. So just make sure it's selected right there and then click OK. For the frame layout, I'll change that to stereoscopic over and under, and that just makes it look a little less intense. We're going to be keyframing the aberration red as well as the blue because I want that to form at the beginning. And then once the clip plays out, I want that color to fade out. So for the aberration red, I'm also just going to decrease this to like -12 and increase the aberration blue to 12. So keyframe both of that at the start, go forward 18 frames, keyframe both of those back to 0. Then for the final effect, we're going to add a curves. For the curves, let's bring up the highlights just by a little and then just kind of bring down the shadows. That way it just adds a little more depth to our footage. And then once we do that, let's keyframe, or let's easy ease all the keyframes. This is what we have for the effect so far. We have that really smooth puddle effect. Then we're going to create a flicker effect. So let's create another adjustment layer. Make sure it's the same length as the second clip. And we're going to add an exposure. So this is the effect we're going to use in order to create that flicker effect. And I want the beginning of this clip to start out really dark. So I'll just increase this to -1 at the start, keyframe that, and then go forward 1 frame, keyframe the exposure to 1. So that's a lot brighter. And then go forward another frame. I want this one to be a different value. I also want it to be a lot darker, so I'll just keyframe this at around like -2.5. And then let's go forward like 2 frames. So I'm going to randomly keyframe these exposure values, and I want it to end at the same time as when the puddle effect ends. So we're just going to add like a random value to this one. Let's just increase this back to like -0.50, and I'll just continue keyframing the exposure until I reach the end of the puddle effect. So just go forward every like 1 or 2 frames and then increase or decrease the exposure so that we get that flicker effect. And once you reach the end, of course, you want to make sure that the exposure is back to 0. Then we're going to easy ease all these keyframes. Now we have that flicker effect. And one more thing we're going to do to make this look even better is add a flash effect at the start of this clip. So let's create a new solid layer and make sure the solid layer is a white color. make sure that this one is only 1 frame. So, you know, we have that really cool flash effect at the start of this puddle effect. I think that makes it look better. The last thing we're going to do is add an effect to this first clip, and I'll be adding an effect from my Distort Effects editing pack. If you guys are interested in that, I'll have the link to that down in the description. So let's go to the animation presets, user presets, and then open up Motion Visuals Distort Effects pack. I'll show you guys 2 different effects. Create a new adjustment layer and then just have that one over your clip, cut it to the same length. And for this one, I'll be adding the Distort Y Shake. And of course, you can always customize your keyframes. So when I play this, this is what we have for that effect. I'll show you guys one more effect. I'll be adding a liquid explosion too, and this is how the effect looks like. So we have sort of like that trippy zoom in bounce effect. I think that looks really dope. And that is all I have for this video. Thank you for watching. Make sure to drop a like, subscribe to the channel, and I'll see you guys in the next video.